Hello, everybody. We see some people coming in. We're gonna wait just a couple seconds, give you guys, about 30 seconds to start joining. I do see some familiar names jumping in, so that's great. Hello, everybody. Excellent. If you're just jumping in, you are in the webinar for Inclusive STEM, Robotics for All from UB Tech Education. Again, we're going to get started in just about probably 5-10 seconds or so. For those that are jumping in, feel free to, introduce yourselves in the chat. Excellent. So we will go ahead and just dive right in. Again, you are jumping into the webinar Inclusive STEM, Robotics for All from UB Tech Education. As a reminder, if this is your first webinar with us, don't forget to connect with us through our different social outlets. You'll see all of our handles with the icon down there at the bottom. Please find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube for all of our fun stuff and posts. Again, you can always email us at info@ubtecheducation.com. And please, all that information can be found on our website, ubtecheducation.com. So please, we are out there. We're all over the place. So connect with us. As an introduction, for those that are joining for the first time, again, we want to introduce ourselves. So I am Rusty Nye. I'm the Education Product Manager for UB Tech, a former classroom teacher, STEM curriculum developer, and now I focus on teacher training and creating products for the classroom. My colleague, Christina Davis, is unable to join us today. She is actually at a trade show event in San Antonio, Texas, which, little known fact, is my actual hometown. I didn't go this time, but that's where she is, setting up for that. We also have a very esteemed special guest, Kenny Bae. So I will let Kenny introduce himself before diving in.
Hey, hello. Good to see everyone. Kenny, I'm one of the faculty founders at Wolcott College Prep. We are a private school right by the United Center in Chicago for students with learning differences. So all of our students have IEPs, and I teach a variety of STEAM-related classes, robotics, engineering, physics, environmental, and I'm really excited to participate in this webinar with you.
Great. Yeah, thanks, Kenny. And I should have mentioned this from the beginning, but if you have any questions along the way, please don't hesitate to ask. Just drop anything you have into the chat, or you can also utilize the Q&A tab. Also, excuse me, I am recovering from a cold. I usually don't sound so raspy, for sure. And great. And EC, one of our TAP teachers, is saying hello. Thanks, EC, for modeling how to utilize the Q&A window. So feel free to drop them in there, and we will definitely try to answer any questions you guys have along the way. Whoops, and I went a little too fast there. So a brief agenda today. So this is kind of a fun topic, something that is kind of near and dear to myself personally, and also us at UB Tech. We will, as we do in every webinar, kind of introduce you to who we are as a company and point to our parent company. From there, I'm going to dive you in and focus on a few different examples of inclusive STEM utilized at specific sites around the country. So being the teacher trainer, product manager for UB Tech, I work a lot with different educators from all different states, all different cities. And so I have a great collection of different ways that you kids can be utilized outside of kind of your traditional approach. So I'm going to guide you through about 4 different examples. From there, I'm going to turn it over to Kenny, who is going to lead the bulk of this presentation and guide you through some really great stuff he's been doing. And we do save time at the end for Q&A. But as I mentioned, if you have any questions along the way, don't feel like you have to save them towards the end. You can ask them during the session. Great. So for a brief introduction of UB Tech, UB Tech Education, who I'll introduce on the next slide, is a division of UB Tech Robotics. So UB Tech Robotics is a global leader developing robotics and AI specifically designed for enterprise uses such as consumers, businesses, and classrooms as well. Our overarching goal here is to create and implement robotic solutions that are able to enhance and enable our daily lives to make our lives a lot better. The reason we like to lead with this is because a lot of the engineering and technology that is going behind these really amazing enterprise robots like Walker, you'll see on the screen, goes into our education products. So at UB Tech Education, we are a specific division that operate kind of independently, where we take what our engineers create and we design them specifically for the classrooms within the United States. So we not only develop all of our hardware as well as software here for our audiences, we also develop all of our curriculum and all of our teacher training elements. For those that also have been to these webinars before, kind of probably know all this, but if you don't, please visit our website for more information on what we do, because I think for a small team, we develop some really great stuff for our educators. Great. So to kind of dive you into, or to lead you into inclusive STEM and what we mean by that, I decided to kind of take my own approach to this title and provide some examples of sites that I've worked with. And kind of the way that I've envisioned this idea of inclusivity with STEM is by thinking about STEM and robotics being implemented and utilized for methods and ways outside of your traditional approach for STEM and robotics. And what I mean by that is, of course, our UKITs are designed to teach, STEM, computer science, coding concepts. However, a lot of educators can take different approaches and have different goals of trying to reach a larger range of students than your kind of traditional approach. So what are some examples of that? The first one is a project that I've been working with in Azusa, California, which is really close to where we reside. So our UB Tech is based out of LA, Los Angeles. I've worked with Valleydale Elementary specifically on a pilot program in actually 9 different elementary schools in Azusa, California. But Valleydale really took this approach of utilizing the UKITs specifically for ESL classrooms. So what they would do here is bring them into classrooms where English language learners were trying to gain confidence by communicating and collaborating through an English language program, that being the UKIT system. So this is also one of those methods to utilize social, emotional learning through the lens of utilizing a STEM approach. So the main goal here was not necessarily to develop engineers or develop engineering-minded students, but the main goal here was to get students comfortable utilizing and problem solving in English. The method for getting those students to problem solve utilizing English was the UKITs. Really cool example, great school. They're still working through. They just finished their first year pilot program at 3 different classrooms at Valleydale at the end of 2022. And they're continuing, and they're starting a whole new classroom, or whole new set next year. In addition, I also worked in Kenny's neck of the woods in Chicago with Catalyst Circle Rock, which is a K charter school network, who actually implemented a system of the UKITs by focusing the interactions of collaboration that the UKITs provide with special needs students, particularly severe and moderate students with on the autism spectrum disorder, or on the autism spectrum. This was a completely different approach from other sites that I've actually worked with, where the students were also, or the teachers were setting goals around communication and collaboration by utilizing the UKITs, but these were with students that had communication disorder issues. So they really focused on the 5 content areas of social emotional learning, which I kind of listed on the right-hand side of my screen, and utilize the UKITs to help hit these specific bullet points: self-awareness, self-management, awareness, again, different iteration of it, relationship building, and also decision making. Another approach would be looking at how STEM NOLA has implemented the UKITs to specifically reach underserved students. So they actually took a different approach of trying to reach students that had economic needs, basically, that would have no other access to technology or robotics. And they actually set this pilot program through one of our flagship virtual camp programs, Camp Aspire, where they actually utilized virtual robotics programs for these students that only needed access to the internet. This actually was so successful, they were able to reach thousands of kids in the New Orleans area that they've been able to spread to neighboring states as well. And Kenny, they're actually looking to open one in Chicago area.
Nice.
And then lastly, I did mention EC was hanging out in the chat, but I always wanted to represent EC as well as another TAP teacher, Gina Quid, in Eagle, Idaho. So both kind of have taken 2 different approaches to utilizing the UKITs, and I like to put them on this one slide together because they kind of took a very different perspective. But you'll see it's a very similar progress of what they're doing. So where EC utilizes an implementation method specifically designed for GT students, gifted and talented students in her classroom, Gina kind of went on the other side and utilizes the UKITs for developmentally challenged classrooms. So they both will tell you a lot of different success stories that I probably won't give justice to, especially since EC is watching. But I just wanted to highlight, lastly, this kind of different approach, because both of these different educators took the UKITs and saw how they could include students from very different walks of life, so to speak, educational walks of life, to still kind of meet similar needs and goals. Great. So that actually, whoops, I'm sorry, Kenny, I'm kind of.
No problem. You want me to share my screen? I can switch over now.
Yes, yeah. So great. So to kind of sum up, one of my big goals working with educators is to develop systems utilizing the UKITs that meet the needs of their actual students and their teacher goals. So we work a lot through our professional services program to help tailor different implementation scenarios for them that don't necessarily have to fit into the standard framework of a STEM classroom. A great example of an educator taking his own initiative is Kenny Bae. And Kenny, I will take a backseat because I think what you are doing is just super cool in its own right. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Kenny.
Well, thank you, Rusty. I'm really passionate. I'm really excited about this topic, the topic of being inclusive in science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. And as someone with parents who are immigrants from South Korea, and as a minority, I struggle a lot, throughout my, years of education through elementary school and high school. And actually I was pulled aside a lot because my reading and my math wasn't up to my peers level. So, I totally get it. I totally get, the feeling of, not being confident or always being behind and trying to catch up, and that's how I felt growing up. And so now, now that I've, overcome and been able to prove people wrong, I actually ended up, graduating in physics and math. And I've been an advocate, and I've been standing up for students who are the minority or the underrepresented. And I'm really passionate about this topic. So thank you, Rusty, for letting me share some of the some of the experiences I'm having in the classroom. And I hope there's something that you all can take away with and implement in your classroom. And I'm all about educators coming together and collaborating and sharing ideas. I want to share just a really quick kind of backstory of this particular project. I do a lot of innovative projects with our students. A couple of which, like, I'll just say, like, in 2018, we won the U.S. Department of Education Green Ribbon Award through many student-led initiatives. And also, I currently organize TED Talks with our students, allowing them to share their ideas or passions on an international platform. And as a TED organizer, I had the privilege of being selected to go to TED Women by the Skoll Foundation. Jeff Skoll is a former CEO of eBay. And I was one of the 10 TEDx organizers from around the country to go to TED Women. And TED Women is a conference where it's a week-long conference where it's all about empowering women and girls and gender expansive youth to be innovators, change makers in various industries. And that was one of the most life-changing conferences I've attended. And you can look us up on YouTube, TEDx Wolcott College Prep. We organize TED Talks with my students. And after that conference of going to TED Women, I remember seeing a statistic that 96% of airline pilots are male. And I got really frustrated. I got really upset by that, because why is that? Like, why aren't there more diverse demographics and opportunities for areas like the aerospace industry or even engineering or construction, right? And so that's how this particular project that I'm about to share with you, how it really led and put a kind of a passion of what I can do to make a difference. My pronouns are he, him, his. And yes, I'm not a woman, I'm not a girl, but I want to be an ally. I want to be an ally to stand up for the underrepresented. And I believe that we all need to come together, as educators, students, families, professionals. Like, we all need to come together to make a difference. And so this project was born through a student-led project I want to share with you. And it's a side project that I have a team of girls. I coach a robotics team. We're called the FTC Bionic Wolves. And we want to, try to do our best to see if we can make an impact and inspire more girls and gender expansive youth to go into science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. So our vision is to do that. We want to provide more opportunities led by our students. And so I want to share with you the process of how we did this. So we actually created a student-led mentorship program, and we actually use the design thinking process. So it's kind of like a variation of this. So what we first were thinking is, teachers do a lot of work in the class. As an educator, we do so much. And so, and the thing is, like, when I think about student-led projects, right? How do we encourage students to really step up and, lead these innovative projects that we're doing? Well, you have to train them. You have to provide them opportunities. And this particular project that we did, we actually built a student-led mentorship program specifically for girls. So we started with the empathize process, where we interviewed and surveyed potential leaders in my classes, and then synthesize. So we made a user empathy map. We started brainstorming some ideas of how we can develop this program, prototype, implement our program, and then reflecting, and was it viable? Like, did it work, and how can we improve? So I just want to go through these steps with you, and to show you what we did. So specifically, when I was thinking about how we can encourage more girls and gender expansive youth to go into science, technology, engineering, and arts and math, we really have to think about which students could be that leader? Which students have the potential? They may not have that skill set. They don't necessarily have to be good at math or science, but which students did I have in the class or in the clubs that I participate are good leaders? So I started asking these questions and thinking about, well, what could we do to inspire those students, and where are we going to meet? Is it after school, during lunch, or before school? Time is so limited. So I started to interview a number of students at our school, and I try to get a sense of what are the barriers. Why aren't you going to engineering, robotics, math, and all these STEAM related topics? And so I did a kind of a quick survey of just doing an empathy map and just asking these students, what do they say, what do they think, what do they do, what do they feel? And so, some of the students are saying, well, engineering and robotics is too hard, right? I don't have any experience, or it's too expensive, right? Or, I'd rather watch than do, right? Someone else can do it. And some of them have this, perception that, their peers make fun of them. Like, if I did this, I may get bullied, or I'm just not interested. It's not fun, right? And students that may have tried, they may feel frustrated, annoyed, defeated, stressed, or they feel like, oh my goodness, like, failing is so depressing, so I'm just not going to even try. So really the first, steps here is to understand and do this empathy map to really put yourself in that student's shoes. So then now what? Now that we have a sense of what they're saying, what they're doing, what they're thinking, well, let's formulate a plan here. So we started brainstorming and identified a couple seniors, specifically one senior. She was actually featured on the local news last year on her innovative work with robotics, and also encouraging more girls to go into robotics. So this particular student and I, we actually came together and we decided to think about, well, what can we do to encourage more girls? And how about, let's meet once a week after school, right? Or during lunch. Lunch is a very inclusive time because everyone in school's got to eat. So lunch is a good time to do it. Before school, really depends, because some people are, busy commuting from other areas. So really we figured out, let's just do it after school once a week. Let's try it out. And we had UV tech kits. And what I love about the kits is it's a very accessible, user-friendly kits. They have really great curriculum. So a big shout out to Rusty. There's a wonderful tutorial training website platform where they show you step by step on how to use the UKits. So it's very accessible, and for someone that have no background in robotics, or even if you are experienced, it's a really great kit to work with. And so we decided to reach out and use the kits and see if we can do something really cool with it. So Zofia is the student that I'm referring to. She was featured on ABC Channel 7 News. You can watch it. I don't know if I can put the link in the chat, but anyways, so we decided to create a really innovative program, and we were brainstorming. One of the things that we did last year is we were pioneers of creating the world's first indoor skydiving humanoid robot. This was actually a couple of years ago. And then this year we made like a space capsule version of it. And we were thinking, would be cool if we created like a program, a mentorship program competition, and if we ship the kit out to, let's say, a class that, because the downside of the iFly location is there's only a certain number of them across the US. And we're fortunately, we're next to one. There's one about 20 minutes from us in Chicago. So, but if you are not, if you're in a school that don't have access to iFly, how are we going to do this program? So we created this, it's like I would explain it as like a virtual field trip, robotics competition / mentorship, all packaged in one. And it's led by our team of girls, Sophia. And so what we would do is we would ship a kit out to a class, and Sophia would zoom in with that class, and they would introduce the competition or introduce the objective. And the goal is to, I want to do a big shout out to EC. We're actually working with EC right now, where we're working with her 4th grade class. And the goal is to collaborate and build a robot together that can fly at the iFly. And, after, brainstorming and designing the robot. And when it's finally ready, they will ship it back to us, and then we'll schedule hopefully a live stream or video recording of the launch. So I want to show a clip here. This is an example of, here's some pictures of our innovative space capsule. And again, going back to that statistic, 95% of airline pilots are male. And when I think about that percentage, it's very frustrating. Like, why aren't there more women and gender expansive youth going into aerospace science or even engineering, right? And so we specifically picked this project to hopefully encourage more girls and gender expansive youth to go into aerospace science. And so here's some prototypes that we developed. We use the advanced U kits. That's a styrofoam ball that you see there. And then the wingtips, we actually laser cutted. So for this particular project, the goal was to get the robot to fly up and down as many times as we could in the wind chamber. And I have a video clip here of us. This is us testing the robot. So here's that iFly. Again, using the U kits. And what I love about the U kits is the easy, accessible, the U code. You can see one of our students there on the laptop controlling the robot using buttons on the keyboard. So we actually coded the robot two ways. One is through human controlled operation, and then the other is autonomous mode. So you can see it flying there. And so what's really cool about this project, it's one of its kind, is students are learning about aerodynamics, physics, robotics, coding, and it's very unique. It's like something that you haven't seen, and we're really proud of that. We're really proud of the students spearheading these projects that are very innovative, very unique, and what they're doing is they're leading the way. Our students are leading the way, inspiring other students to go into aerospace science. So this is one of the projects that we are working on. So after this project, one of the important steps is really stepping back and is this viable, and is this and it's really important to reflect. So after every project, we sit down as a team and we think about, well, how did it go? How did this project go, and what can we do to be better? Because day one, of my classes, every class that I teach, I have a sign on my door, and then it says, the sign says, "Leave as a better person," right? And it's not about being perfect. It's not about being the best at something, but how can I get better each day, right? How can I get better each day? Because I make mistakes. We all make mistakes, and so I've been, saying that since day one of our class, and even when our school was founded. That's, one thing I always say is like, have that growth mindset. Don't quit. We're not quitters. We're going to celebrate our mistakes. And so, with a project like this, right, we have to evaluate. Were the students themselves, were the directions clear? Do we help each other? Were we more motivated? Why not, right? And so we ask these questions to really think about, if we were to do the program again, or if they were to lead a different project, how we can improve, right? Because I do emphasize growth mindset, and to have a successful mentoring, program like this, right? You really have to, have the students model that. And what I love about student-led mentoring projects like this is it takes all the stress and pressure away. Because if I did this directly, my students would be like, "Oh, Mr. Bae, is for a grade? Am I going to fail?" Or they're kind of stressed about passing the class, right? And so what's nice about these student-led programs is it's their peers coaching them and supporting them and celebrating with them, right? And it's also sustainable in the sense that, I have my student for 1 year, and after the 1 year, they move on to different classes, right? But if they have a really solid peer who continually, mentors them, that gives them good advice, that inspires them, right? That's a mentor that that they can have long term, right? And someone that they can relate to without the stress of talking to a teacher. And so there's a lot of benefits to this mentorship type strategy that you use in the class, and it's sustainable. I so far I've had a lot of success with it. The students are really excited. Like for me, I get passionate when I see my student helping someone else, coach them, use a certain power tool, or teach them how to 3D print something or build a robot. That excites me. So that makes my job as an instructor really worth it. So yeah, and just continually motivating, inspiring the students to be the next generation of leaders, and to have that shared goal of having a space to fail safely without feeling guilty or anything. Like, again, we want to celebrate our mistakes, and we want to show appreciation of each other. So and so that's what I wanted to share with you all. And I would like to actually open up for Q&A, Rusty, if people are interested in asking any questions about our mentorship
Absolutely.
program.
And yeah, while you guys are dropping in questions, please don't be shy. If you do want to jump in and talk, we can actually allow you guys to talk. Just let me know in the chat. But yeah, feel free to drop your questions in the chat window or also the Q&A section. And while you guys are kind of coming up with your questions, Kenny, I think you said something there towards the end that I think is just so important. And when I've worked with educators that are engaging students in STEM, I think this challenging idea that they're doing something so new, that they're doing something that may not fit into that standard grading rubric, can be so scary for students, because they don't know if they're going to succeed, they don't know if they're going to, and then failure may, on the other side, failure may be scary to them, but I think my perspective, and part of what I love about working in STEM, is that idea of embracing failure. I always say, failing upward, which I think is such an important idea to convey to students, that failure is not the end result. In fact, it's the first result. If you fail, that means you've learned a way that didn't succeed, which means you've opened a door to trying something new. So kind of embracing that, I think, is such an important part, and such an amazing self-building part of the whole process. I love that. I love that you're also focusing on that.
Yeah. Sorry, going back to the idea of inclusivity. So I coach a robotics team. This is our 10th year of doing the first tech challenge competition, and one of the things that our team is known for is outreach, and the idea of being inclusive and supporting other teams. And I feel like I learned so much from them, and I want to give a huge credit to our team and to our students, because they actually inspired me in days that as an educator, it's tough. It's tough. A lot of us are working long hours and doing everything we can with lesson plan and grading. But at the end of the day, like I really enjoy watching them take the lead and take the initiative. And to see them starting out as freshman year, we're high school, so 9 through 12, and to see their tremendous growth by the time they graduate senior year, it's really rewarding for me to see them by the time they get to their senior year, leading and being inclusive into other students and coaching, and they're actually teaching me about, like, for example, like CAD. Like I know very little CAD, but I got students that who develop these advanced skills in CAD, and they're teaching me and teaching the class on how to use CAD. So that I find that really rewarding, and that's to me, like, it's just an awesome part of watching that growth.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kenny, it looks like we do have a couple questions.
Sure.
Great. So Lisa and Sean both dropped in questions. So Lisa asked, how can I get started in my elementary school? This is my first training. I would like more, and then start a robotics team. Awesome, Lisa. I know Kenny's the right person to ask that question too.
Yeah. I would love to. Yeah, let's. If can I give you my email? So I would love for you. We can touch base via Zoom. If you're interested in this mentorship type program, I'd love to partner with you, Lisa, and you know, you don't have to have any background. Right now, I'm working with EC with her 4th grade class, led by our team of girls. And I would say, like, you know, our girls are the ones that are initiating this project, and that doesn't mean you have to be a girl to be part of this project. And it's just like I'm emphasizing the fact that we're training our girls to be leaders, right? And so Zofia specifically is, you know, she's actually leading this project to encourage, you know, for example, the 4th grade class. And we say, like, it's okay, like, to be a boy, you know, you can be an ally too, to support the girls, right? And so so we're always encouraging everyone, again, to step up and support, you know, her program. So yeah, Lisa, I'm happy to give you my email. We could do something via Zoom if you're interested. We can work and connect together.
And yeah, Kenny, we could go back to the slide with your email if you'd
Sure,
like.
sure. Yeah, I think it's at the very beginning, right?
Great. And
Yeah.
while you kind of go back, Sean asked, thank you for the webinar. Are training resources and activity curriculums available on your site? So Sean, in terms of UB Tech resources, I did put also our training portal into the chat, which I can also drop in right here. Which if you want more UB Tech specific training, you can definitely find all of our curriculum resources and training materials on our training portal. It was a big project of mine as well, so big undertaking that we love pushing it out. But yeah, Kenny, I know you're also creating some resources as well. Is there a way that educators can get their hands on the stuff you've created?
Yeah. Just feel free to email me. We're the program is very early phase right now. What Zofia is doing. Again, we're student led. So as we're developing this, you know, we have like a Google Classroom of content of some curriculum, you know, some resources, but again, it's a very early. We're kind of in the early phase of our project, and yeah, so I'm excited to you know, share what we have. I mean, you know, and we can learn from something from each other.
And Kenny, I'm gonna just drop your email into the chat box if that's
Sure.
great. Excellent.
Yeah, and I do have a LinkedIn, so you're welcome to connect with me via LinkedIn.
Excellent. Are there any other questions you guys might have? Oh, it looks like Kara dropped in one. Thanks. Thank you so much for this webinar. You're welcome. I have been trying to find more resources for my STEM life skills and autistic support classes. I have been creating and adapting a lot. Oh, I thought it was like a button there. That's great. So Kara, we do have some resources specifically designed for kind of an ASD classroom approach. I would also recommend checking out our Spark Starter cards, which I can definitely point you to. So Kara, I would also encourage you to send me an email as well, and I'll type in my email onto the screen. And EC said, my gifted students partnered with special education classes across the hallway and coded robots together. I love that. And yeah, Kara, yeah, connect with me because I also, prior to jumping into the STEM classroom, I did work with moderate ASD students in the 3rd grade classroom, and we utilize STEM skills actually specifically for a life skills lesson. That was kind of my area of focus. So I can definitely work with you to kind of think through different methods as well, and I'd love to do that. So Kara, I'm actually going to drop my email in here. I hope that's helpful. Excellent. Perfect. Oh, and Natalie, thank you. Amazing teach STEM to support ESL students. I agree with you there. So I think what I mentioned earlier about the teachers in Azusa, they're doing some really amazing stuff for ESL students. We also have another site in New York City that's utilizing them with students, and they've actually been doing that for quite some time as well. Excellent. Any other questions you guys have? Yep, I agree with you. NEC says autistic kids do really well with the UKIT robots. I definitely would agree with that. So feel free to drop any more questions, but Kenny, I will ask if you wouldn't mind going to the last slide, or actually,
Oh,
no big deal.
all right. As soon as you said that, I click close.
Not a problem. Yeah, let me pull up just one last slide, but not to cut anyone off. Feel free if you guys have any questions, drop them in. Great. And so, excellent. Well, thanks everybody for joining. I think this was a really fun webinar. Kenny, thanks. I really appreciate you taking the time. I think your perspectives are so unique and well thought out. I think people can learn so much from what you've done. So I really appreciate you taking the time, and I know you're busy as well. So thanks.
Thank you, Rusty. It's been a privilege. Thank you so much. I enjoyed it.
Great. And so I do want to encourage everyone to join us next month, where we're going to talk about how to teach AI, specifically focusing on an AI curriculum that we help develop for implementing AI and through the utilizing the 5 big ideas in AI. So please join us. You can check out all of our resources and sign up for our next webinar on our website. But if there aren't any further questions, a big thank you to everyone for joining us. And yeah, happy building with your robots. I don't have like a slogan. I guess I should come up with it or something, but thanks for joining, everyone.
All right.
Thanks, Kenny.
All right. Well, I'll see you around. We have a meeting next week, right?
That's right.
All right.